Morning, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Markets on the 27th of August. A couple of things that the team at True Potential focused in on today. Firstly, we're looking at some of the economic support announcements that have been coming out of Europe. The first of which was in Germany, where we've seen additional support coming through in the form of the salary payments that the government will sustain over the next number of months, but also the support for small and medium-sized enterprises to allow them to cope with the changing business conditions that have been brought about by COVID-19 and how that has altered demand. We also heard yesterday that in France they're considering further measures to support the economy there through this recovery phase. So two large European economies thinking about and implementing more fiscal support for their countries. Something that still remains lacking in the US, where we still don't have agreement on the additional fiscal support package that was expected to come a number of weeks ago. That still remains mired in the US political system. That additional support that we saw from European countries yesterday did help equity markets. The Euro Stoxx 600 was up 90 basis points on the day. FTSE was relatively unchanged. But then if we turn into the US, I think it's interesting just to note the strength of technology or the growth orientated names within the US market yesterday, where they continue to provide leadership. And that's an important thing for us to be aware of, and we've discussed in these sessions before that technology has been providing leadership to the US markets, being supportive thus of global markets as well. That's something that we continue to observe, and in some cases we now have indices that are exceeding their pre-COVID-19 levels, which if we go back a number of months would be something that I think most of us would have been discussed as being challenging to achieve, but that has been achieved. In sovereign bond markets yesterday, there wasn't really very much going on, very little movement in yields there. I think sovereign bond market's probably in a bit of a wait and see mode to see what comes out of the Federal Reserve's economic conference today, where there are expectations around what Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, will discuss in terms of the Fed's approach to inflation going forward. And why is that important? It's just about how they think about the inflation rate and how that would impact their decisions on interest rates. So the Fed today have a 2% target. They're thinking about, and the expectations are that they're going to move that to an average of 2%. That would mean that inflation can then run above that 2% level for a period of time before the Fed would consider moving interest rates. So that will come later today, and something that will probably have an impact on the sovereign bond markets when we get detail as to how that's been thought out. I think the other thing just to discuss from yesterday, economic data came out on durable goods orders in the US, continuing to show that improving trend that we've seen in previous months. The headline number is very strong at plus 11%. I think that does include defence and aircraft expenditure. So stripping those out, you get a more normalised view of business investment, and there we can see that it was up about 2%. 1.9% month on month. So continued improvement there. Overnight in Asia, we saw industrial profits from Chinese businesses increase about 18% year on year. 19% year on year. That is a continuation of the past couple of months. If we look at it in the year to date figure, we're still down 8%. So that gives you an indication of the magnitude of the slowdown and the impact that had on profit growth of Chinese businesses. Turning to today, we get continuing claims and initial weekly claims in the US. That's an important number for us to watch and see just what trend is there in unemployment data. We've seen that move around over the past number of weeks, so if we can start to get a clearer steer in the direction there, that would be important. Many thanks for joining us again today.